Hello, welcome to the podcast. My name is Nathan.
My name is Noah.
Okay.
So this is really awkward, but let's just figure this out. So first things first, Nate. Hey, you didn't drink that right. You're supposed to have your pinky out. So do that again. Do that again.
Okay.
Pinky out.
Fuck. Okay, there.
See? Prim and proper.
Prim. Very nice. So, this is going to go on the...
Nate, I was going to ask a question.
Oh, that's right. You're true, right?
So that's true.
So, basically, this is a channel. Fuck.
It's a channel. Fuck.
Is a channel fuck?
Is it? What is this going on? Fucking Pornhub?
No, that's too clean.
Okay, so X hamster. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
So this is a podcast. We're going to talk for about a time. Oh, he did it.
Oh, I left the room.
Oh,
and I came back.
Oh.
O'Reilly.
So we are currently in Noah's house and in a basement where there is 4 walls surrounding us. This room we're in is going to be a podcast room of sorts.
It will not just be used for this podcast, however. It will be used for my father's Mr. Dad podcast, where he will be embarrassingly horrible at video games. And he will also have commentary and stories of his own. And on the topic of stories is something that we might be focusing on during this podcast. But yeah, that's what this room is going to be used for, and we have no focus on what we're going to be talking about today. We're pretty much just shooting the rodeo.
Tonight
On
it's
Mystery Diners.
It's almost 2:00. We are really pushing the envelope. Sponsored by Monster Energy drink.
Absolutely, 100%.
It feeds your soul.
You don't grow wings from that, though.
No.
If you partake of Red Bull at the same time with Monster, you will die.
You become a monster with wings.
However, if you drink Monster after having partaken Red Bull, then it greatly exceeds like the growth rate of the wings is much more higher, and not only that, but you just become super jacked with energy. So it's mostly beneficial for you to have Monster after having Red Bull.
Like you become jacked like He-Man, and then you go, I have the power.
And then you start singing. What was the name of that one song?
Hey, yay,
Oh,
yay,
no.
yay.
What's Going On?
What's going on? And it was originally sung
By 4 non-blondes.
which also made good songs such as We Do Not Have Blonde Hair.
You really know nothing about alternative rock.
I don't know about... That's like the only song by them I know. Well, that's not true. I've heard their name before, but not in that way. I don't know.
I'm just moving the mic a little bit.
Shuffling the mic.
Shuffle the mic.
Shuffle.
Shuffle?
Fuffle.
Fuffle. I love how we both came up with that at the same time.
Yeah, is it a dessert name?
Shuffle fuffle.
Shuffle fuffle.
Fuffle. Cuckold.
Ooh.
Uh-oh. That's unfortunate if you are, in fact, a cuckold.
I don't know, I like it. We just came back from watching
Kung Pao. Enter the Fist.
And it's really good, though it was rated, what was it, 2 out of 4 stars?
On Dish Network, yeah.
Ooh, which is stinky. Because it is a really, really good film.
In terms of cinematic qualities, it's not interesting. However, I think from a technical standpoint, the achievement of making a funny movie through doctoring footage from a 1970s martial arts movie from, what was it, like China? Or like the Philippines or something? Like the fact that they managed to make a completely different movie using a source like that is very reminiscent of one of my favorite styles of video editing, of course being the YouTube poop.
Oh yeah, Noah loves his YouTube poops.
I love YouTube poop. I am not as knowledgeable as Emperor Lemon when it comes to the history behind it, though I have a general idea. I'm not like behind the meme where I'm like, yeah, so it basically came from this series of videos and it had these, and this is exactly what a YouTube poop is today. Even though there are many different styles, like sub-styles of YouTube poop. There's, what was it, Harry Potter and the Smelly Old Shoe Brush or something like that.
Yeah.
And the editing there is much more almost professional. Like the level of detail in that one is crazy. And then you go all the way back to The Sky Had a Ouija or
Oh my
a
god.
bunch of other shit like that. And the editing is very simplistic.
For the time, it was pretty funny.
Well, yeah, because I think it wasn't really funny for people to watch. More or less just funny for people who know what was going on. Because YouTube poop was not always like, oh, this is a YouTube poop. It was like, it was a way for people to fool other people into looking at footage that they were looking for when it's really not what they were looking for. It was edited so heavily that it is no longer what it was looking for. So things like This Guy Had a Ouija was fucking weird. You would also have weird titles like fucking Yoshi 69's Mario and Luigi or some shit like that, even though it's not possible. You'd have like crazy random wacky names like that, and it wouldn't have the YTP tag in the title. Like they wouldn't put in caps or in like in the middle of brackets or anything YTP. They wouldn't put that there. And it's funny because some people today put YTP in the title, others don't. Some people put YTP or YouTube poop in what was it, like the tags?
Yes.
Which no one fucking uses anymore. They would sometimes put it in the descriptions. Sometimes they wouldn't put it anywhere.
People used to abuse the tag system, but now I think it shows up on top of the title of the video. Like they used to put like PewDiePie on a video that had nothing to do with PewDiePie, so as to rack in more views.
I think the tags were replaced by hashtags.
I think you're right, actually.
So it would be much more easier for you to look for than literally anything else.
Earlier you talked about Behind the Meme.
Yeah.
Did you hear? He probably didn't, but I don't know. Did you hear that he basically made a video where he was acting depressed and acted like he was gonna kill himself? But then his excuse for it, I can't remember why he did it, but it wasn't for the reason he said. He basically said it was to show about suicidal awareness. Which is stupid. It wasn't about that.
No, that's not how you do suicidal awareness
at all. I
I
think he was just trying to get attention.
I don't know. I kind of want to say that if you are feigning suicidal thought, you are actually disgusting. And speaking of disgusting, the sound of someone scratching their sheet of like flesh.
What do you make, an ASMR?
It's like, no.
Flesh scratching ASMR.
Stop. It's disgusting.
I'm sorry, my leg itched.
It's fine, but just don't be so like pronounced with it. It's like, God, you don't need to like pronounce the itch.
This puts people to sleep. This is a sound that...
It doesn't. It keeps me awake, dude.
Actually...
You know what puts me to sleep? Vine Sauce Joel. You know what else puts me to sleep?
He does have a sleepy voice.
Vinny.
Vinny
from Vine Sauce.
Vinny from Vine Sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah, he plays the Vinny Lin.
The Vinny Lin.
Plays the Vinny Lin.
Copyright 2019. Vinny Lin.
Vinny Lin. It's like a violin, but every time you do the strings, it makes a Vinny quote. Hi, I'm Vinny. I'm gonna be honest. I prefer Joel over Vinny, not because
I think I prefer. Sorry to interrupt you, but like I think when it comes to Vine Sauce, Joel has the more what the fuck kind of content, whereas people like or really like Vinny has more bootleggy stuff than Joel. Joel has some bootleg stuff, but not as prevalent as Vinny does.
I like the way you say Joel because I can hear it. You're like Joel.
Joel, did you download boobs again, Joel?
You've been doing that since we fucking. Oh my god! I just had a flashback to the day that like me and you met. Like, thing is, if you hadn't talked to me when you were sitting next to me, if you hadn't talked to me, we would never be friends probably. Cause like I'm normally a very I'm a shut-in guy because I don't like to cause trouble or something.
Mm-hmm.
But like you talked to me and we started a conversation, thus starting up a friendship, which is freaking nuts.
Well, I mean, like you can think about hypotheticals like that all day. Like, you know, what would happen if I, you know,
Died.
Well, yeah, like just as an example, like sometimes as gruesome as it is, sometimes I do think of what would happen if like some kind of tragedy would happen and I would die, and I would think about how that would affect my family and all that stuff, and way down the line, people would be like, you know what, this guy didn't even finish his project. Nobody picked up the mantle. Nothing.
Yeah, that's kind of sad. The fact that Noah works on a game called Venture, which is actually doing really good and not just kissing your ass, but it was really good. I'm only kissing your ass partly.
I don't consent to that, by the way.
Because I need an editor.
That's not at all why or how.
That's the only reason you're part of this.
That's not how you get an editor. You don't get an editor by eating booty flakes. That's not how it works.
Shit. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, like the fact that you've seen games on Roblox, which is where Noah's making his game, Venture. You've seen games on Roblox come and go. There used to be a lot of really good Roblox games that no longer are now just in the very back of the shelf, so to speak, of Roblox.
The front page, the popular search filter, which may I add is the worst fucking thing you could possibly do.
Yeah, it really is.
The only purpose of it is to generate more clicks for people who throw money at the platform, which is disgusting.
Definitely.
Frankly.
Pardon me.
But yeah, like I've actually seen a number of projects come and go, especially in the vein of recreations and things like that, because people typically they go into a phase, right, where no, not like that kind of phase. They go into a phase more like they go into a cycle where they have inspiration for something. They find inspiration for something. So they drop whatever they're working on, whatever they're doing, whoever they're talking to, whatever it may be, and they focus 100% on what they're working at and what they got inspiration from. And then they get on Studio. They sit for a couple minutes for it to boot up and update and all that shit and whatever. They open a base plate and they try to set up the framework for something, or they just try to jot down whatever they were thinking of. And then they realize that it takes a lot of work to actually get something done, to make it resemble the thing that they were inspired from. Which
you put in a lot of fucking work.
For Venture. Because I'm a lot like my grandfather, where if I get inspiration for something, or if I think of a way to do something or work around or solve a problem, it's not like I'm going to go to sleep and wake up in the morning and remember what I was thinking about. I stop like trying to go to sleep, go and do it, and then go to sleep, because I won't like be able to sleep after that.
Yeah, definitely.
These people, what they do is they get inspiration for something, try to do it, realize it takes a lot of effort, where they just simply burn themselves out, and then they stop for a while, and then they get inspired by something else, and it's just an endless, gruesome cycle where it's just constant, like, moth into flame. I'm going to go towards the thing, I'm going to get too close, and I'm going to burn myself out before I even get anything done.
We did that. Because
Yeah.
Golden Blocks, which
Yep.
was going to be a GoldenEye Roblox remake, where Noah would do 99.999% of the work, and I would pretend like I was doing work. We actually almost got facility made, but we just stopped. We had the ventilation going on,
Yeah.
but we just stopped, and I think part of that was because you were busy with Venturi, and that takes a shit ton of work, especially with the progress it's in now. But basically, you can't handle 2 big projects at once. That's a lot of shit.
You can't.
That's a lot of shit to do. So eventually it just kind of died out. Plus, I have no skill in Roblox. Noah has practiced Roblox for fucking as long as I don't even know.
Roblox is an instrument. I practice.
Yeah, you practice the Roblox.
Yes, I practice that.
Well,
no, it's more like a religion. I practice Roblox. Roblox is my religion.
Well, I'll bet.
Ban PewDiePie from your platform. You fucking idiots.
Yeah, that was like the only.
Oh my god! And you know what their excuse was?
What?
It was a lapse in moderation. Well, no shit, it was a lapse in moderation. And you know what? They said on their quote unquote apology article that Roblox does not tolerate intolerance of religion, sex orientation, race, or engaging in political speak. Or talk or whatever. And it's like, what the fuck are you on about? That's not PewDiePie.
It's becoming the next YouTube.
It's like let's ban everybody who does anything that could remotely be tied to anything. Let's just investigate things and try to get an answer out of them. Treat them like they're fucking animals in a cage, and you're fucking torturing them. Yes, please. No. Ban everybody for having any like remote tie to PewDiePie. Thank you.
The sad thing is that with YouTube, that's people's job, which I hope becomes this in the future for me and you.
Yeah.
But it's a job for some people. Some people wake up in the morning and make videos all day long, edit videos, make the fucking thumbnails, make the titles, description, tags, hashtags, whatever. And then like YouTube just changes some shit, fucking ruins it.
The algorithm. Yeah. That's another thing. Like, these people, they're not mindless robots either. I mean, don't get me wrong. Some of them are, like, Watch Mojo. But then again, they're a company. They're a corporation. They are a corporate body zombie that, like, mass produces disgusting, like, it's almost like going for, it's like fat, like, it's not like that. It's like Subway sushi. Or gas station sushi. I'm thinking of something else, and it's like going for a gas station sushi, which is in this disgusting plastic container, and probably will upset your stomach in like 30 minutes after you consume it, or going to an actual traditional Chinese or no, not Chinese, Japanese restaurant. Just go to like an Asian cuisine restaurant and order sushi there. It's probably going to be better than you going to a fucking gas station and buying sushi and eating that. That's exactly what Watch Mojo is. And I love how I went on like a 45-second tangent just to explain my point, is that it's like the quick and easy way of getting something. It's not quite like fast food. Fast food, sure, it can be icky. There are some places that are disgusting. But don't get me wrong, like there are still good places out there. It's just that the worst offender is just, you don't watch it. But there are people who like that for some reason because they themselves are zombies and all they do is just sit there and watch disgusting Watch Mojo. But like, we're going off on a tangent. But yeah, One point that Emperor Lemon made in one of his videos was the sub count versus views, and this was a theory that he had, and some of the other people in the community has, where an empty subscriber. Do you know what the concept of an empty subscriber is?
Like a bot, right?
No. An empty subscriber, or empty sub, which is what most people call it, is where you have people who subscribe to you from a certain era where you did this kind of style of things, you focused on these topics, you had this style of video. You change. You go from one kind of thing to another. It's like with PewDiePie when he called people bros, to him calling his subscribers 9-year-olds. There's a shift in tone and style and everything. Because he used to be a Let's Player. Now he's just almost like a news outlet, commentator. He's literally anything but a Let's Player at this point.
Yeah, PewDiePie's changed more than any YouTuber.
So some people who subscribed to him when he was, when he still had the Bro Army, and he had that golden statue. I can't remember the guy's name. Stefano. And he had this hatred for barrels and stuff. That PewDiePie that you guys knew is no more. And so some people would probably just stop watching him, but not unsubscribe. Therefore, you have an empty subscriber. You have someone who subscribes to your channel, but does not watch your stuff. So, WatchMojo has more empty subscribers than Vsauce does.
Yeah.
Therefore, Vsauce, regardless of sub count, which is basically YouTube's dick size, like it's just a way that you measure your dick compared to anybody else.
Yeah, basically.
It's meaningless. It's meaningless. What matters is the view count on an average, per video. Like on a video by video basis, what is the average number of views that you get versus your subscribers? So therefore you get this ratio. And you can tell the percentage of how many subscribers in your subscriber count are considered empty or they're just not, where they watch your shit or they don't. And WatchMojo has considerably more empty subscribers than Vsauce does. PewDiePie probably has fewer empty subscribers. Maybe I'm wrong because he keeps getting more and more subscribers per day. He had on an average, on a day was 10.
Well, now
20,
people
30.
are just subscribing for a meme.
Well, yeah, but I think, and here's another topic of discussion is PewDiePie versus T-Series.
I don't know about T-Series. I don't watch PewDiePie anymore.
So T-Series is a music distributor from India.
Johnny, yes, papa.
Something like that. So T-Series, for some reason, is blowing up. I don't know why, but people are subscribing to a corporate body more than they are to a single person. An idea, a meme, a whatever. I don't know why people are racing to make T-Series the most subscribed channel. I don't know if they're conscious about that or not. I don't know if they're conscious about PewDiePie in a subscriber battle against T-Series. But yeah, I don't want to see PewDiePie lose. But a part of me recognizes that there sometimes is just no other way around it, where you just have to live with it, where it's just the end of an era.
I'm personally kind of on the fence. I don't care either way. But, I mean, PewDiePie was a big part of my childhood because I used to watch him. I used to watch his Amnesia, Bully. I binged his Bully playthroughs. Shit, what else did he do? There was this game, Lucifer. Lucifer, he played that for a while. I liked watching that. But now he just does, meme reviews. And I know everyone's like, PewDiePie used to be so cool back in the day. But it's they're kind of right. Because PewDiePie was... I guess he wasn't so look at me, I'm making all this money. It seemed like a part of him was just doing it for fun.
Yeah.
And for you know, awesome. I know it doesn't make any sense, but
I know. And here's where what you talked about truly like shines on PewDiePie, because some of the people from his fan base, which he did not condone, by the way, would go out and start calling people, specifically Indian people. I'm not talking about Native Americans, which don't call them Native Americans. They're not native to America. They went to Indians and they started saying, you know, a bunch of racial shit. And it was like, why do you have to do that? No one told you you have to do that. No one said, go do this.
did he address it?
He did. And he said, guys, what the fuck? You know, he was like, why? Why are you pouring all of your, you know, why are you putting all your eggs in this basket? Why are you guys using all your energy on doing something that is negative and it won't turn to a positive, but taking your negative taste, turning it over, making it a positive? And so then he went and said, I have this charity because people in India, culturally speaking, they have child labor there. And these kids that live there don't get educated. They don't get any education. What education they get comes from their surroundings, not from a school, not from any of that. So we have these uneducated people going around and just they're not making their country any better. So he was like, okay, I'm going to throw this out at you guys. Donate to charity. Do it. It will clear your guys' names, and not only that, but it will benefit humanity in some way, shape, or form if you guys do this. And from what I understand, it was a success solely because he made the right choice. And one thing I don't get about people who bash on PewDiePie, like the fucking the news outlets and stuff, like, what proof do they have of him being a Nazi? And even then, who is subscribing to the idea that he is a Nazi, that he is X, Y, and Z? I just don't understand why they think that or how they make these assumptions and why they're still doing it, because it's slanderous.
Here's why they did it. I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure you know because it was big news. PewDiePie said a racial slur playing PUBG.
Yeah.
And so everyone is out to basically call it the black sheep. They're basically out to say, oh, he said a bad word, you know. Oh, you can't say that. But it's kind of hypocritical because there are channels on YouTube that use that word just like speaking another language. They say it continuously. iDubbbz. iDubbbz says it often. He never gets any backlash. Never.
Nope.
I don't
But
think
here's
he's
the
ever
thing.
been
Here's the
yelled
thing.
at.
I think I know why they went for Pewds in particular. It's because he's the kind of guy who tries to do the right thing no matter what. And in that mindset, he made a major fuck up by saying that. It's not like the difference between iDubbbz and PewDiePie is that PewDiePie is the good guy, right? He tries to be the moral compass for good. iDubbbz does not give a fuck what he does. He doesn't care what he does. He does what he pleases. He can say whatever the fuck he wants because he earned the right to through exposing people. I think that's the mindset that most people, or I think some people would agree with that, in that he has shot down so many people for being stupid, for having horrible premises for channels and such, that they deserve to be exposed because what they were doing was disgusting. And speaking of disgusting, do you remember in 2017 and 2018, I think it's still going, the number of channels that make Elsa Spider-Man SFM?
Oh my goodness, man.
It's just like, honestly, who the fuck? Like, there's some AI out there where what they do is they just punch in, oh, here's a location, here's the animations that are preset, here's like a script, a very basic script, go. And it's like, what? Huh? What the fuck is this? Why? What?
Well, not only that, but it's a cheap and easy way to get popularity and make money because kids will eat anything you give them up. They will look up their favorite characters. Oh, I love Spider-Man, or I love Elsa. She's really cool. And then you look it up, and you're like, Elsa and Spider-Man. Golly,
Elsa's cool, by the way.
I'm just waiting for Zelda CDI educational entertainment of Link saying Johnny Johnny yes papa.
You know what? Here's one thing that I think anybody can agree with: children are stupid. People
You go out there and say that,
are stupid. Now, you did something stupid one point or another, and someone was there to witness you fucking up.
PewDiePie.
Basically,
He did that. It's full circle.
Yeah, it and you know what? There are people in this world who just don't understand that people are stupid. So they just go out and assume that everybody's just minding their own business and they're doing things and they're not fucking things up. But really, people are fucking things up all the time.
Never do.
You just don't see it because some people are better at masking it than others, and that's important to understand.
Very. Real quick, I was gonna ask you. Do you know how to operate that coffee maker upstairs?
I do.
Because I don't. But I was thinking some coffee would really help.
It's really not that hard. Would you like to see?
Sure. Let me pause this here. And we're back with the podcast. We are back, and we got some coffee. Coffee's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yep, and the podcast. That's it.
Yeah, we went and got some coffee. So, Nate.
Okay.
Why don't you start off? This is like best of the worst. This is gonna be the most rigid, rough, and horrible in terms of transitions. Let's go.
All right. One time I fell over.
Okay, my turn.
I can tell you the story about my ex-girlfriend, who was to put frankly, a thought.
Oh no. Was she a moblin?
She was not.
Okay.
She was. No, she was a thought. As in THOT.
Oh god.
She was a most thought. She was the worst kind of thought. She was like an emo thought.
Oh. She was an emo hoe.
Like the ones getting hickeys.
Oh god.
Let me start off this tale.
Oh god. No.
Let me start off this tale. So, sophomore year of high school. I hadn't gotten to live books yet, of course. And I was just a young lad who was desperate for a girlfriend. As in desperate. Like, every day I was thinking about, God, I'd love to fuck that girl. Or, all that shit. Basically.
You love ass.
No.
Okay.
I'm all about that earlobe life.
Oh my god.
So, basically, I found this girl. And I was like, man, she's cute. So I go up and talk to her, with my voice cracking ass self. And I was like, hey, girl. That's not, I'm over exaggerating, but basically I was like, hey, I like you. You're pretty. And she gave me her Facebook Messenger, because she was kind of desperate as well. And in a minute, you'll see why she was desperate.
Oh no.
You'll see how she was desperate. I mean, basically, after a while we started dating. It didn't take much. All I had to do was say, you want to date? And she was like, yeah. Again, showing her desperateness. So, time goes by. one school day, I go over and give her. Jesus, I can't believe I did this. I look like such a fucking fool.
Hey, we all have our own fuck ups.
I gave her chocolates and roses.
Hey.
Like a fucking loser.
Nothing wrong
She
with
didn't.
that.
Well, here's the thing. She didn't deserve this chocolate or roses. I said those chocolate. She didn't deserve those chocolate.
At the time, I think your judgment was clouded, so...
Of course, and you'll see how much it was here in a minute. Basically, over time, I got closer and closer to this girl. She wanted me to come over and play with a Ouija board with her, but for reasons unknown, Destiny just didn't want me to go over, and I guess I should be grateful for that, because she was really thoughty. So one day, she's acting weirder than usual. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? Like, I text her, and she's, like, acting all weird and, like, putting dots at the end of her sentences, like, begging for attention and shit. But, basically, I'm like, hey, is something wrong? What's going on? And she's like, I got a hickey from a guy last night. Another guy. And me being foolish, I was mad for a while, and I was like, what's going on? I'm gonna kick someone's ass here in a minute, but... Of course the guy, not the girl, because I'm not a crazy fool, but, basically, I was like, what's going on? I'm really grumpy. I was, like, sitting there stressed out. I'm scared because I really started to like her, but I told her, how did the hickey happen? And she's like, he just kind of forced it on me, and I didn't try at all to stop. That's basically what she said. And it pissed me off to both him and her because why didn't you put up a fight if you were loyal? But that's not even the tip of the iceberg. So, she's doing this thing where, like, she gets mad at me for shit all the time. And originally, but it's like the kind of thing where it's like, oh, you do something wrong, so it's bad, but when I do something wrong, it's okay.
You know what's really crazy? I hate to interrupt that, but I have a friend online and another friend of mine, and they were in some kind of relationship, I don't know. And that exact same kind of relationship happened. I'm not even shitting you. The guy was curious because his friends and some of her friends were saying, dude, she's kind of a liar. And things just, like, weren't lining up. The parallels weren't quite making much sense. Like, you would hear from one thing from someone else, but you hear something different, even slightly different from someone else versus her testimony. And it was like, why are you doing this? Like, seriously, why are you saying these things and, like, lying to them? And there's like, no point in it. And what's really crazy is this kind of shit, I think, happens to more guys than people realize, because this is the third person that I've heard this from. You're the second in a day, because today, before you came, this guy told me that this was happening, and then you tell me this was happening during the podcast, and now I'm looking back to what happened to my brother and his first girlfriend. I'm like, oh shit. This is not just a 1 in a million kind of thing. This is like...
No, it's very common.
It's it's more like 1 in every 50 women, basically, is this type of predator, where they just waste your fucking time. And I'm like, holy shit. What kind of fucking world do we live in? And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to, like, say anything like, oh, you should like force the woman to be in, like, a vulnerable position, make her bend to your every will, which some people do want, but it's not really right in my eyes. I don't think that's really something that you should really do. But neither am I saying that the guy has to be a fucking cuck and accept everything that happens between them, the woman, and whoever else.
That is something that I did. I was foolish with this girl.
Oh, you cuck.
I'm really bad.
But hey, once a cuck, never a cuck.
I gave her a second chance after the hickey thing. And then a while later, she cheated on me again. This time I heard it from one of my most trusted pals. Not you, but... Because this was before I knew you, but...
Yeah.
I knew that I got this from one of my most trusted pals. That like, hey, I saw her with another man. I was like, all right, something's going on. So I just messaged her. I didn't even bother with it. The second time, I wasn't dealing with it again. So I was just like, all right, sorry, see ya.
That's a little inside joke.
I told her, I just document.
I just
Document our relationship.
I want to say, let me write on this partition in my brain right here what you just fucking did.
Yeah, and
okay, it's done.
She's a thought.
Yeah,
she's a thought. And the thing is, people warn me. Don't get into business with her because she will rob you, so to speak.
She will rob you of your time and your energy.
My time, my energy, and of my feelings.
See, like, that's another thing is, like, women have a funny way of manipulating your emotions and making you think a certain way. Because what's the penultimate goal in mind for any man?
Find a good woman.
No, sex.
Yeah,
like
that too.
That's basically the be all end all.
I didn't know if we were being honest.
Ultimate thing that guys want, whether they admit it or not. That's what they want. So when it comes to things like the way they word things, they will manipulate you into waiting. And that was my mistake for my first girlfriend too. Is like we dated for like 3 months, and then out of nowhere almost, she was just like, I want to take a break. And I'm like, okay, for how long? What do you mean break up, or do you just want to like wait a period of time just to get some space? So I waited a whole year, and I was like, you know what? I'm not a fan of the suspense. I want an answer. And when I asked her, like, what's going on? She was like, oh my fucking God, I'm so sorry. I wanted to say break up, but I didn't know how to word it so that you wouldn't be so hurt.
Wasting your time.
I was fucking hurt because I literally crossed my fingers on this thing. Well, not literally, but like I was there sitting, waiting, and nothing happened. Many, many moons later, all for nothing. And it pissed me off. Like, I didn't go off on her for that. I mean, like, I do understand where she comes from because she is kind of like one of those depressed loonies, and she was that kind of person at the time. But like, really, to make things a little bit easier on like let me just ease the pain. No. And another thing,
Love this is.
so if you're in a relationship and you don't want to be in it for much longer, don't wait, because that's only going to be more painful in the long run for both of you. Because you're going to have to sit through it, and they're going to have to live a fantasy life, and they're not even going to know about what's really going on. And then when it happens, it'll hit them like a fucking train, and it'll just be awful. You have to be honest, and that's the one key thing to having a relationship, is being consistently honest. If you're not honest, no relationship. It's garbage.
Yeah, and it's hard too. It's hard to get a relationship, and then you get it, and you work for it, and you're like, man, I'm so happy I finally achieved something, and then you just get run over.
Yeah,
and it sucks ass. And normally, whenever a girl says, I want to break, they mean break up.
But they don't want to say that.
They don't say that, and it's stupid because I get it. You don't want to hurt their feelings, but it doesn't matter. It's gonna hurt either way.
Yeah.
So might as well be straightforward. Let them stew it over. Let them be like, all right, well, I'll find another person, and move on. But they don't allow you. Instead, they have you wait a fucking year, and it's fucking...
And in the worst case scenario, you wait more, if not at least a year, until you get a fucking answer. And that was brutal. That was a really, really rough time for me, because I was like, for like a whole year, like all my sophomore year, after October, the Black Day, let's call it, I was just, I was in a completely different mindset. I was a completely different guy. Like everything I used to do, I was like, what? Why the no. I pitied myself, and self pity is pretty bad. It puts you in a mindset where you don't even have the motivation to do the things that you like to do. Well, for the most part, I tried to soldier through with my own ventures, no pun intended, and it just took a long time for me to recover after that. Like, psychologically and socially, I was a little bit damaged. I wasn't the same. But then, when people literally open a hand for you to hold, it helps change things. It helps change things.
Yeah.
So if you know anybody, hold a hand out and help somebody.
Yeah. I've tried to do that all my life. I've tried to be a nice fella, but it doesn't seem to work.
It doesn't work for.
And it doesn't show either, because I'm always roasting people in class.
Oh yeah.
This is outside of the podcast thing, but yeah, I'm always roasting people, but I don't want to. I do it for the social standing, and that's why I've kind of let it go, because I realize, it seems to me that you don't find, like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, you have the same thing that I want, where, like, I kind of want to help people. But at the same time,
there are some people who deserve help and who want help. Those who want help, don't give them help. People who deserve help should get help.
Yeah.
So, people who are really, really down on their luck, people who need another set of hands for whatever it is, people who need backbone, people who need support in general, they need that. If they want to continue with their lives and have a happy ending of some description, to make ends meet, to pay the bill before before they default, they have to. You gotta have somebody there, and if nobody else wants to step up, why not you?
Yeah.
And if you make an excuse, it better be a damn good excuse, because that's just icky, man. That's also icky.
All right. You think we should keep going?
It is currently 2:33. I can't read.
Should we keep pushing on to this podcast, or should we call it?
I might as well just, divulge into story.
Call it quits. Oh, okay.
So
It's hitting the hour mark.
when I was a kid, this is the same property that I'm on right now. We're gonna call it the House in the Woods. So the House in the Woods, when I was a kid, belonged to my father's parents. So to me, it was my grandparents, because I never knew my mother's parents very well. My grandfather will always be like Grandpa Don. That is my grandfather. I literally I only have one side of the family, and there's way too many to count on just like all the appendages on your body, everything, dick included. You can't count them all. It's just too many.
You said
too many people.
You said dick.
So so when I was a kid on the property for the House in the Woods, I would just wander. I would wander and explore and try to get used to the woods and try to recognize landmarks and maintain a sense of direction and understanding of orientation and things like that.
An erection?
No, not necessarily.
Not yet.
Not at this point in time. So when I was a kid exploring the woods at one point, my grandparents' dog was a black lab beagle mix. If you can imagine that in your head, just imagine a black Labrador. If it was short and stout and just weird looking. Not gray yet. Just exploring around with me, having fun, and just being a team. One pushing the other just a little bit further. And eventually I just was like, you know what, fuck it. I got a little bit wet. Let's just get into the creek. Let's just jump in. So I got in the creek. I'm soaking wet, and I'm just trudging through the creek. And eventually, in my very very young body, it basically reached to like, I would say around like pit level, like to like where the nipples are. So like about my chest was how high the water got, and I was just treading through creek water, and I was just exploring and getting used to like the way that the woods were and like the everything, and eventually I made it to a brick bridge, and I was a little bit worried because I was like, oh no, this is probably somebody's property. At this point, I should probably turn back. So I did. I turned back. The dog Shadow eventually followed me back, and when I got in the house, everybody was like, "What the hell? What? Where did you go?" And I was like, "I went in the creek." And, so, and in my mind, I'm like, "Where else could I have gone? How else could I have gotten wet?"
I thought you were gonna say when you came into your house, everybody was dead.
Everyone died. The end. But yeah, and last year, during the winter, when the creek, everything froze over, and there was ice, and it was relatively thick enough for a person of my size to be able to walk on top of and not fall through and freeze. I followed the creek, and I eventually found that brick bridge. And holy shit, I went a long ass ways from the house just to be able to, find it and then walk back as a kid. That I had to have had like unlimited energy, or in the words of Palpatine, unlimited power.
We should just cut the podcast off there.
No, we're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep this thing going. Do you have any stories like that where you just were exploring and you just found shit and you didn't find it until much later? Or just
I don't have that, but I do have a journey story.
All right.
I didn't find peace of mind or find myself, but I did find trouble. So I have an uncle. He has a house. If you can fucking imagine that. He doesn't have the same house anymore. He had like a trailer. Not like this though. Like a thing that you just move and you.
A mobile home.
Basically.
This isn't a mobile home, by the way. This is just a house.
Yeah, I know, but it's got that trailer shape, I guess.
Yeah, it's got that kind of look to it.
It's got that riddle diddle fiddle.
Riddle diddle fiddle.
Basically, it had a trailer. And it wasn't very well kept inside or out. Inside there was always bugs. There was always like dirty dishes, piles of dirty dishes. It was always smelling weird. It was not taken very good care of. But that's beside the point. My neighbors had a dog who they would just let run around and do whatever they wanted. His name was Jack Jack. Kind of like the baby.
The baby from Incredibles.
Yeah. And
I think it's a dog that's just walking around up there. I don't know if the microphone's picking it up. Probably not, but
there's a dog. Anyway.
Jack.
Yeah, Jack. And I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if he's still around. I haven't seen him in a long time, but I haven't been up there in a while, so. Basically, he followed me, or rather, I followed him, because I was so used to, like, movies where, like, the dog, if you follow the dog, you find magic things. And I was younger. Granted, I wasn't permitted to explore like this. So, next to my uncle's trailer, there was a forest. And, like, it was deep, but I don't think any of it was really our property. But I basically walked down into the woods, followed the dog because I was like, whoa, what's the dog leading me to, you know? And I was not armed in the least. So if something was to happen, I would have been killed. Which there was known to be like coyotes and wolves around that area.
Shit.
So it was scary.
It was serious.
It was sis.
To be certain.
And it was scary because I would hear sounds on occasion. And it wasn't the dog. Nothing seemed to ever happen, but it was still like eerie. Sorry to spoil the surprise. Basically, I followed the dog. I got lost. I got lost in the woods. Couldn't figure out my way back. So I just started wandering. I figured maybe I'll find a landmark that'll help me find my way. I end up coming across this house. And it was like a house of people that I do not know. So I'm trying to walk back. I'm like, all right, well, shit. This isn't the way I was supposed to go. Basically, I was too late. They see me in the backyard. And they're like, hey, you alright? You look lost. I'm like, yeah, I am. Because I didn't know how to run away from a situation like that. I just froze up. Because I was little and I was like, whoa, what's going on? Basically, they picked me up, which I shouldn't have trusted them because you don't know who you can trust these days. But like, back to the story. Basically, they took me to my other uncle's house, which was across, or not across, but like 2 houses down from the original uncle's house. And I got out, and my dad happened to be there, of course. And he was like, where did you go? You know, you were missing. Where did you go? I was scared, so I told him I went in the woods, got lost. And basically, for the longest time, I was not allowed to be outside without supervision at his house. And moral of the story, don't get lost as a little kid, or else you get in trouble.
Yeah. Don't trust movies is the correct moral of the story.
Yeah, I forgot to mention I tried to follow the dog back home because I was like, help me find home, boy. And I actually did follow, and that's how I got to the house. That's how I got to the other house, because I followed that dumbass dog's house. And we reached the hour mark.
Hey.
Gate.
Might as well tell a more recent story involving you and me. It was actually this night that we decided to do this.
Cute.
So he this is his first time being here, and I was like, you know what? Let's just let's go outside and let's explore. It's dark. It's like 8, 9 o'clock or something right now at this point in the story, somewhere around there.
I think about 10.
I want to be safe and say 9. So it's 9.
Okay.
Somewhere around there. It's dark. That's point being, it's dark. So what we do is we just wander south of the house, and we find a cemetery. Well, we didn't find it. We went there to it. We went towards the general location of the cemetery. I showed him one of, I think, 4 or 5 headstones, and it was eerie. It was dark and stormy. It was raining. It was kind of windy, and it was a little bit chilly. So we keep wandering. We actually go west a fair ways, trudging through mud and whatnot, and we encounter the creek. And because it was storming for so long, the creek, the water level was really, really high. Like, if you were in there, let's say you're 5.5 feet tall, it would have been fairly high. It would have been beyond your belly. beyond your belly.
Oh.
And it was pretty high. So we wander back north after encountering the creek. We follow it basically, and we get back to where the house is. Kind of, we're just south of the garage, which is next to the house. We wander west a little bit more, follow north, go a little bit east after a bit, and then we're back to the garage. We're at the side of the garage, and then we follow the driveway a little bit. We go to the cabin. Show you the cabin. We fiddle around in there for a little bit. Which don't be thinking that we did something stupid in there. We're just friends. So we get out of the cabin. We go west a little bit more, and then we follow the creek north, and then we go on the driveway again after wandering through the creek. Not through the creek. We wander through the woods a little bit, following the creek, and then we get back on the driveway, and then we're like, okay, well, that's basically most of the property that you had to see or like walk through, which we went a fair ways. I'm not gonna lie, for someone like you and me, that's a fair ways. You just burped, and I felt like a gust of wind in my general
I had my mouth closed.
Well, even then, like I felt something.
I think you're just crazy.
Might be me. So I was like, well, you've seen most of what we had to offer in terms of like the property, even though you couldn't fucking see anything.
I could, I mean.
Well, it's debatable. So, I was like, you know what? Do you wanna walk on the road for a little bit? And he was like, sure, why not? Whatever. Yeah. So Nate and I go on the road. We head east of Fairways, past the power station, and then we take a right, and we go that way for what, like a quarter of a mile?
Yes.
Somewhere around there. And then we're like, okay, we're soaking wet. I just realized we're soaking wet, and he's starting to complain.
All right.
I feel very uncomfortable in this shirt. Like, it's just gross. And I'm like, all right,
That's
fine.
Complaining.
All right. Well, I mean, like, I didn't want you to just suffer.
I wasn't complaining. I was just
suffer and suck a tense.
I was just suggesting.
And I went with your suggestion because I didn't want you to suffer through that. So I was like, all right, cool. Let's stop walking because, you know, we don't know how far we could go. And I don't know if there's any patrols in the area. So I was like, let's just head back. Fuck it. Let's go back. So we go back. And then we just start talking. We tell each other stories on the way back. And it looks like he's doing something with his arm right now.
I have double slippers on.
Oh. So, we eventually make it back to the house. And then we're like, dude, we should do the podcast. I'm like, okay. I was like, wait. Check out this YTP. Check out this YTP. And then we watched Ghost Molesters Visit a Hallway.
No one will know what that is.
YTP.
Especially not some old ass man from the FBI.
Oh yeah, dude, you should.
No, I mean that specific one.
Well, yeah, but you should watch it. And then after the YTP, I was like, you know what? Let's. You need to be initiated into the Muddy Tribe. You need to be initiated into the Muddy Tribe. So we watch the best movie on the planet, Kung Pao Enter the Fist, and now we are here. That's basically it. We just reiterated on the same point. He's giving the okay while making noises.
Kind of want to play Resident Evil 2. We didn't get to finish that. Resident Evil 2 is a good game. A bit of a life lesson.
So, life lesson here.
The stars are made of ice. Thus,
the night is cold.
Yes, so remember that.
So the moral of the story here is not that. That is a life lesson, but that's not the lesson that we learned from this story.
It is, because the stars that were made of ice made us cold.
Nope. The moral of the story here is if it's fucking raining, don't go outside. Especially at night. Especially if it's windy.
You retard. You.
Uh-oh. You just
Oh!
struck a key.
I struck a nerve in my pee-pee.
Why'd you do that?
We're at 1 hour.
Why'd you do that?
7 minutes. It's almost 3 a.m. I will work on the thumbnail. While you, good sir, are playing Resident Evil 2 on the Nintendo 64 upstairs.
Nope. We gotta be there together, dude.
That's true.
That's true.
We should play that, actually.
What?
We have an hour and 8-minute podcast. I don't know how long it's going to take for this to upload.
Well, I mean, if it's just like...
And render.
If it's just a, like a still image, and we could just change the frame rate and Premiere, So we can make it like really, really small and have like the video like compression be just fine. It's not that hard.
Actually, you will need to edit this because this file will not go in by itself on YouTube. So you're gonna have to edit in like an overlay.
You mean like just like an image?
An image, yeah. Just like an image or a GIF or something of like...
Dwayne.
What about a GIF of King Harkinian saying, "My boy"?
No, I'm thinking more something like King Harkinian.
Taking his clothes off.
Stretching like one of those rubber bands for exercise. It's like a elastic band or something, elastic band.
This is going to be the first video on Just Friends Gaming. I like how you did that right. Alright, well, this has been the Just Friends podcast.
Podcasting,
The podcasting potato.
the potato podcast.
We are going to come off as cringy.
And that's totally fine.
Yeah, because you know what?
Fuck it.
Here's what we're going to cut off with.